Leora's hands trembled as she poured the iridescent liquid into the beaker, her small home aglow with shifting violet hues. She stilled, heart-pounding. The vial buzzed with life, almost singing. Outside, the bells of Sundew Village tolled midnight, echoing through the fog-draped hills of Aeloria. Magic seeped from the stones and trees here, a secret world grown wary since the ancient days. A sharp knock rattled her door. Liora froze, the air thickening. No one visited at this hour. Another knock, louder. "Open up, alchemist," a voice barked, rough as gravel. She recognized it. Olin, captain of the local watch. Heart racing, she pushed open her heavy oak door. Olin's eyes flashed in the lantern light, not with kindness but fear. Behind him, 2 armored guards shifted nervously. "Liora, troubles come from the northern glade, something unnatural." Olin's voice dropped. "Elder Rowan said you'd know what to do." She shook her head. "I'm no sage, just mixing herbs. What happened?" One guard spat on the stoop. "Mist crept in, not normal fog," it whispered. "Folk went missing. We need answers now." Liora set her jaw, shoving fear aside. People depended on her makeshift remedies. Could she do more? Guilt twisted her insides. She nodded, retrieving her worn satchel and flickering lantern. Olin led her through winding avenues, urgency pressing in. All along, the mist thickened, humming softly. It curled and fluttered, cold fingers brushing Leora's skin. A distant voice called, so faint she might have imagined it. Elder Rowan waited at the glade's edge, white braids glowing like spun moonlight. Her hand rested on gnarled staff. "You feel it too, child. The Aether's warning us." Liora swallowed. "What do I do?" Rowan's eyes turned grave. "The weave unravels. You must follow the whispers. The Guardians chose you." Panic flickered in Leora's gaze. "Me? I'm nobody. Why?" Before Rowan could answer, a figure emerged from the swirling haze. Cloaked in midnight, silver runes dancing down his sleeves, Engren, the banished sorcerer. He grinned, hungry and hollow. "Looking for me?" His voice was a blade. Leora's fingers gripped her satchel tight. The air thrummed, the ether pulsed through her veins for the first time. In that moment, war erupted in the shadows, and the fate of Aeloria shifted forever. Leora's breath caught. Engren's presence bent the ether, the very air aching with tension. With a flick of his wrist, the mist parted, revealing trembling villagers trapped in unnatural slumber, their forms fading in and out of sight. Magic oozed around the sorcerer like oil on water. Dangerous. Tempting. "Let them go," Olin demanded, sword half drawn. Engren smirked. "Your blade's as useful as a feather in a maelstrom. Stand down." Rowan stepped forward, staff alight with defiant energy. "You meddle with forces you cannot fathom, Engren." Engren's gaze lingered on Liora. "But the alchemist, she has potential." Leora's voice faltered, but she forced herself to speak. "Why are you doing this?" He shrugged, cloak flaring with strange currents. "You wouldn't understand. The veil between worlds is thin. I intend to tear it open and claim what power lies beyond. Surrender the Aether Stone, and perhaps I'll be merciful." "Aether Stone?" she whispered, fingers grazing the pendant that had always hung heavy but inert around her neck. It pulsed now, alive with restless energy. Engren's eyes narrowed. "Ah, you have it!" Rowan shielded Liora with her frail body. "You'll not touch her." Engren flicked 2 fingers. Rowan's staff shuddered. She stumbled, grimacing but standing tall. The mist crept in, clutching Leora's feet, cold and insistent. Fear screamed at her to run. Instead, she gritted her teeth and did something she'd never dared. She focused on the warmth at her chest, the Aether Stone. It answered, light flooding her vision. The mist recoiled, seared by golden radiance. Engren hissed. "How?" Rowan gasped. "You're awakening?" For a heartbeat, Liora stood unbroken between 2 worlds. Olin gaped. The villagers behind the mist stirred. Engren retreated, cloak writhing. "We're not finished, alchemist. The next time we meet, your choice decides the fate of Aeloria." He vanished into the fog. Leora's knees buckled. Olin caught her. The mist faded. The trapped villagers fell limply to the grass, breathing. Rowan steadied her. "You've only begun to touch your gift." Liora glanced at her glowing pendant, unsure and scared, but something fierce blossomed in her chest. Hope. "So what happens now?" she asked. Rowan smiled, bittersweet. "Now, child, you gather allies. For the path ahead is dark, and Aeloria's fate rests on your courage." Dawn broke with a brittle chill. Word of the mist's attack spread like wildfire, sowing fear and suspicion through Sundew's winding lanes. Liora found herself at the center of a storm she'd never sought. shadowed all morning by worried villagers and the constant ache of the ether stone against her skin. In Elder Rowan's cottage, the air smelled of dried sage and old parchment. Rowan stood at a broad table, cluttered with arcane maps and yellowed scrolls. Olin hovered near the door, arms folded, while Liora tried not to fidget. "We need allies," Rowan began, her voice gentle but fierce. "The Guardians themselves, if possible. They sleep hidden, but your power may wake them." Olin frowned. "How do we even find them? Townsfolk are afraid, and Angren's still lurking." Rowan met Leora's gaze. "Legends say the first Guardian slumbers beneath the Rootspire forest. To reach her, you'll need help." Olin's jaw tightened. He glanced at Liora. "I'll go. Someone's got to keep you safe." Rowan smirked, placing a reassuring hand on Leora's arm. "You'll also need a guide, someone who knows the wild places." At that, the door squeaked open. In stepped a wiry woman with wild copper hair and mismatched boots. She grinned wolfishly. "You called, Rowan? Can't let these soft townies blunder into the Rootspire alone." Rowan nodded. "Liora, Olin, meet Fen. She's the best tracker in 3 provinces, if you can bear her manners." Fen winked. "Relax, alchemist. I know the old places and I don't scare easy." Olin studied her warily. "You're sure you're not afraid of mists that whisper your name?" Fen's expression darkened for a moment. "Scared? Sure. But sometimes you march forward anyway." She nudged Liora. "You seem braver than you look." Liora stared at Fen's mud-caked boots, an infectious smile, and felt a flutter of courage. "Maybe. I have to be." Rowan pressed a folded map into Leora's hands. "Find the Guardian of the Forest. She may be your only chance to stop Angren." As they left Sundew, packs slung tight and nerves jangling, Liora looked back to find Rowan's eyes shining with pride and sorrow. The journey had begun, and she was no longer alone. The day faded into an uncertain dusk as Liora, Olin, and Fen entered Rootspire Forest. Shadows clung to the gnarled trees like old regrets, and the air hummed with warnings only the ether stone seemed to hear. Fen took the lead, slipping silently between bramble and root, while Olin's sword flashed at every sound. Liora, clutching the glowing pendant, could almost feel the forest breathing. "Stay close," Fen whispered, voice taut. "No normal beasts roam these parts, only those twisted by old magic." From the branches above, spectral birds screeched, feathers flashing silver. A fox with 2 tails watched them pass, eyes knowing and unblinking. Every step deeper into Rootspire left the world of humans further behind. Olin grumbled, "I'd rather face another mist creature than whatever's watching us." Fen grinned back, "Rather you didn't jinx us, Captain." Liora forced herself to breathe slow and even, letting the ether stone guide her steps. Now and then whispers drifted just at the edge of hearing, a language both strange and achingly familiar. She wondered if she was losing her mind. Suddenly, Fen halted, holding up a hand. Ahead, the forest floor split around a great, moss-cloaked stone, carved with runes that shimmered faintly green. "This is it," Fen murmured. "The Grove Heart." The runes flared as Liora stepped closer, the pendant at her throat growing almost too bright. A voice echoed in her mind, old as the soil. "Who calls the Guardian of the Root?" Leora's mouth went dry, but she pressed her hand against the stone. "I'm Liora, alchemist's apprentice, seeking your help for all of Aeloria. The balance is failing. The mist." The earth trembled. Roots shifted, and a figure coalesced from bark and leaf, tall, regal, her eyes deep with endless green. "The Guardian." Olin whispered, awed, "By the heavens." The Guardian turned her gaze on Liora, gentle yet immense. "Your spirit is untested, child, but your heart rings true. The Aetherstone has awakened you. Will you carry the burden?" Liora, shaking but resolute, answered, "If I must, I will. We can't win alone." The Guardian nodded. "You are wise. I will lend my strength. But beware. The sorcerer bends the wild magics to his will. Trust not every voice in the dark." As the Guardian placed her palm over Liora's, the Aetherstone surged with new power, warmth filling every inch of Liora's body. She gasped, vision blurring with images of coming trials. When the moment passed, she stood taller, changed, and the Guardian's eyes shone with hope. "Go, Liora. Seek the next Guardian. The fate of magic itself follows you." With allies at her side and new strength burning within, Liora stepped out of the sacred grove, more determined than ever, yet deeply aware. The true battle was still ahead. Night pressed down as the trio emerged from Rootspire, branches still whispering warnings behind them. Liora's step was lighter, a new current of energy thrumming in her veins. The Guardian's blessing was like a second heart, steady, constant, unyielding. They camped by a silver stream, the world strangely quiet. Fen poked at the fire, eyes wary. Olin sat polishing his blade, but his hands shook. "So what now?" Fen asked, breaking the silence. "Which Guardian's next?" Liora traced her finger over Rowan's map. "The riverward Guardian, said to dwell beneath the great falls of Iron. If the mist is spreading, we'll need her help." Olin glanced around. "If Angren's hunting you, we can't risk losing time." A sudden chill swept over them. The fire sputtered as shadows twisted at the edge of the camp. Liora's Aetherstone flickered, casting frantic patterns on the ground. A soft voice, ghostly, almost kind, spoke from the gloom. "Did you truly think you were alone?" Before Fen or Olin could react, a shape lurched into the firelight. It was a boy, barely older than Liora, his eyes glazed and skin etched with glowing script. Fen leapt between him and Liora. "Who are you? What do you want?" The boy's lips trembled. "Help me! I can't control." His voice warbled. As if yanked by invisible strings, his body jerked forward, hands clutching his head. Runes blazed brighter, the same color as Angren's magic. Liora felt a pang of fear and pity. "He's cursed!" Fen moved to restrain the boy, but Olin pulled her back. "Don't touch him! Magic like that can infect." Liora ignored their shouts, kneeling beside the boy. She let the Guardian's energy flow from her palms, searching for a break in his tangled curse. The Aetherstone glowed, golden and hopeful. The runes flickered. The boy gasped, and the script faded. He blinked, truly seeing her for the first time. "You broke it? Thank you." He slumped to the ground, exhausted. Liora caught him, peering into his frightened face. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. "Tyrion," he croaked. "Angren found my gift useful until I failed him. He'll come for you. He always does." Olin's expression darkened. "Then let him. We're done running." Fen grinned, relief mixing with dread. "Welcome to the band, kid. We could use someone who knows the enemy's tricks." The group huddled tighter as night deepened. For every new friend, the dangers multiplied. But so did Liora's resolve to stand and grow into hope's beacon for all of Aeloria. At sunrise, Liora led her growing band along a mist-shrouded track, nerves strung taut by the boy Tyrion's rumor-filled warnings. The riverlands sprawled ahead, water gleaming like shards of broken glass. For the first time, Liora felt the weight of leadership and the bite of doubt. With Fen scouting ahead, Olin ever watchful at her side, and Tyrion shuffling quietly behind, they reached Aeron's cascading falls by midday. Noise and spray filled the air, drowning out all but the bravest whispers of the Aether. "Down there," Fen called, pointing to a narrow ledge snaking behind the roaring curtain of water. "The Guardian's chamber is supposed to be hidden beneath the falls." Olin frowned. "No traps yet, but don't let your guard down." Tyrion clutched his cloak tighter. "Angren always feared this place, said the river magic can't be predicted." Clutching the Aetherstone, Liora led the way onto the trembling ledge. Spray soaked her hair and face, and her every step slipped on the mossy rocks. Then her pendant pulsed, a strong, steady heartbeat. They emerged behind the falls into cavernous silence. Before them, an altar of stone rose from a silent pool, water swirling in luminous patterns. Resting atop was a slender, spectral figure cloaked in blue-green light, the riverward Guardian. "Why do you disturb my slumber?" Her voice echoed like rain on glass. Liora stepped forward. "I beg your help. The balance is failing. The mists, the Aether is unraveling. We've come to restore what was lost." The Guardian studied Liora, eyes deep and swirling as the river's heart. "You carry the forest's blessing, but can you bear the burden of two? The current is wild, child. Many are swept away." Olin put a hand on Liora's shoulder. "If anyone can, it's her." Liora drew a deep breath. "I'll do what it takes. For Aeloria." The Guardian gestured. Water leapt like living crystal, swirling around Liora's hands. She gasped as memories flooded in, struggles, triumphs, ancient sorrow. She gritted her teeth, letting the pain flow through her instead of resisting. Slowly, the Aetherstone's glow deepened into a dazzling blue. The riverward Guardian smiled, misty and sad. "You are stronger than you seem, Liora the alchemist. But beware, the one shadow who hungers grows ever nearer." As the blessing settled into Liora's bones, a chilling howl echoed outside the cavern. Tyrion paled. "He's here! Angren found us!" Liora pressed her companions close, heart hammering. They weren't alone, not anymore, but neither was evil giving up the chase. As footsteps thundered above, she braced herself. The true test had only just begun. Rocks tumbled from above with every thunderous footfall. The cave trembled as Angren cried out, "There's nowhere left to hide, Liora!" His magic lashed through the cavern, the air crackling with cruel hunger. The Riverward Guardian flickered, voice thin but urgent. "Go through the veil!" Fen tugged Liora toward a shimmering arch of mist at the cavern's edge. "Move now!" Olin drew his sword, bracing for Angren's descent. Tyrion hovered nervously, twitching with leftover fear from his curse. Liora hesitated, torn between fleeing and fighting. "We can't just leave you." The Guardian's spectral hands pushed her onward. "My fate is woven, yours must be protected. The arch leads to the Aether crossroads. There, fate still bends." Angren's shadow streaked toward them, his eyes burning with hunger for the Aether stone. Olin planted himself between Liora and the sorcerer, voice steady. "Over my dead body." Angren smirked, raising crackling hands. "Easily arranged." "Enough!" Liora shouted, summoning streams of forest green and river blue to her palms. The forces clashed, wild and magnificent, spattering color and sparks through the cave. For a moment the magic was evenly matched, humming in painful, beautiful tension. Fen howled, "We're out of time!" She yanked Liora bodily through the misty veil. Tyrion stumbled after, Olin only just making it as Angren's magic detonated behind him, shattering the stone in a rain of glittering fragments. Instantly, silence. The world twisted. Stars swirled above a landscape both unreal and beautiful. The Aether crossroads, sky rippled like silk, every path branching through endless possibilities. The ley lines hissed beneath their feet, pulsing with dormant power. Everyone stood still, silence thudding in their ears. Olin doubled over, gasping. Fen rested a reassuring hand on Liora's shoulder. "You're stronger than you know." Tyrion touched the ethereal ground, awe and dread mixing on his face. Angren never dared set foot here, even he fears the Guardian's domain. Liora tried to swallow her terror, but it stuck. "We have to keep moving. There's one more Guardian, a spirit of wind and truth, hidden at the crossroads' heart. If we wake him, maybe we stand a chance." They struck out down a shifting path, every step echoing possibility and peril. Exhaustion gnawed at Liora, but so did hope. Her doubts began to loosen their grip. She was not the same frightened girl who once watched the world from behind a beaker. As the crossroads paths wound onward, the stakes soared higher. Every flash of light hinted at Angren's pursuit, but Liora pressed forward, her friends at her side, and destiny swirling ahead. The crossroads shimmered with colors no mortal eye had names for. Paths twisted and merged in the strange light, each step feeling like it balanced atop the blade of a knife. Liora, Olin, Fen, and Tyrion pressed on, pulse quickened by Angren's shadow looming ever closer behind. "How do we even know which way?" Olin muttered, frustration hardening his voice. His knuckles whitened against his sword hilt. "Listen," Fen said, voice hushed but urgent. "The wind here moves with meaning." Liora shut her eyes, focusing on the strange ether pulsing in her chest. The air itself whispered, a gentle pull, a memory of laughter on stormy days. "That way," she pointed, trusting her instincts and the magic's subtle nudge. They navigated a spiraling causeway, wind tugging at their cloaks, singing secrets. Tyrion suddenly faltered. "He's hunting us, through the currents, I can feel him." Liora caught his arm, squeezing hard. "We're together, he can't break us if we don't let him." A shape flickered ahead, a slender figure with mirrored wings unfolding from his back, eyes brilliant and unreadable. The Wind Guardian hovered at the intersection of the paths, palms raised in greeting. "You crossed the boundaries, child of Aether and hope," the Guardian intoned, the air itself responding in gentle eddies. "3 blessings you now hold. Do you seek unity or power?" Liora steadied her breathing, feeling her friends close. "Unity. We can't save Aeloria alone. We need all the world's strength, not just my own." The Wind Guardian bowed his head. "Good. Hold to that, for the storm comes. I will add the wind's truth to your heart. But be warned, should fear and doubt rule, even the greatest power will fracture." His fingers brushed Leora's forehead. The Aether stone blazed, raw and wild as a hurricane. She nearly stumbled with the force flooding her senses, visions of Aeloria's past and future tumbling through her like 1,000 storms. Her friends caught her, steadying her. "Fen grinned, you're turning into a legend, Liora." Suddenly, Tyrion gasped. "He's here!" The crossroads darkened, wind hissing violently. Angren emerged, trailing shadows, his smile predatory. "So little alchemist, Will you surrender the Aether's will to me, or see your newfound friends broken? Olin drew his sword, Fen her knives, Tyrion humming a half-learned ward. Liora rose to face Angren, heart-pounding, all three guardian gifts burning in her veins. The final confrontation was about to begin, and Aeloria's fate would be decided in the howling winds of the Aether. Angren's cloak billowed, feeding on the crossroads' whirling energy. Magic warped the air around him, twisting the paths to his will. Liora felt reality itself strain, the brilliance of the Guardian's blessings battling the chill of overwhelming darkness. Olin stepped forward, blade gleaming. "You won't touch her, Angren. Not while we stand." Angren's eyes raked the group, cold and scornful. "You fight for hope? For fellowship? Foolish, power is the only truth." Fen matched his sneer with a wild grin, knives ready. "You've never fought anyone like us. Arrogance blinds you." The sorcerer snarled, unleashing a wave of force. Olin's shield flared blue with riverward strength, rippling as Fen darted behind to strike from shadows. Tyrion joined his voice, weaving a new charm, more brave than perfect, but woven strong with will. Angren staggered, momentarily surprised. "You've improved, alchemist," he spat at Liora. "But power borrowed is just that. Borrowed. I am the storm." He slammed down a writhing storm of mist and shadow. The crossroads buckled. Visions of suffering and loss pressed in, whispering for Liora to surrender. Fear tangled her thoughts. So much depended on her, and she was just Liora. But hope flickered from those around her. Olin's fierce loyalty, Fen's wild courage, Tyrion's trembling faith. One by one, their determination surged into her. She centered herself, drew on every lesson won by hardship. "No," she said, her voice building. "You don't understand. I'm not alone. None of us are. The Aether isn't just power. It's connection." The Aether stone blazed across the crossroads. Roots curled from the earth, water burst from cracks, wind howled with truth. Light and color clashed with shadow as Liora threw everything into her stand, not fighting against Angren, but calling the crossroads itself to unity. Angren screamed as his magic faltered. The guardian spirits, forest, river, wind rippled through Liora, amplifying the ties between her companions. Olin blocked a lethal spear of shadow and pressed forward, Fen's blades dancing in a blur of silver, Tyrion's voice ringing with a new, resonant clarity. Together they held. But Angren fought on, wild-eyed, summoning every dark secret hidden in the Aether. "If I can't have it, then no one will," he roared, the skies above fracturing. The crossroads began to collapse, reality splintering around them. Leora's vision shifted, sensing the fraying boundaries. One final choice could save everything or destroy them all. Panting, she locked eyes with her friends. "No matter what happens, hold on. Trust each other. Trust the Aether." All around them, the world braced for either birth or annihilation. All at once, the crossroads teetered between creation and ruin. Shadows spiraled as Angren, eyes ablaze with desperation, summoned torrents of unbound magic, shredding reality itself. The wind shrieked, the river ran wild, and roots clawed the fractured sky. At the center, Liora steadied herself, shoulders squared beneath the impossible burden, and the unwavering support of her friends. Angren threw everything at them. Blasts of void, illusions of hopeless futures, the sickening hush of utter defeat. Olin staggered, nearly swept away. Fen fell to one knee, knives flashing desperately as she shielded Tyrion. But Tyrion, voice shredded raw, stilled the chaos with a single word: together. Liora looked to each of them, Olin's stubborn guard, Fen's irrepressible fire, Tyrion's hard-won hope. She felt the Guardian's presence behind her, 1,000 years of endurance, sorrow, and unity. And she made her choice. She thrust the Aetherstone skyward. Aeloria is not a thing to be conquered or broken. We are many, yes, but we are one. Guardians of Aether, rise with us. Roots flared gold, rivers surged sapphire, winds roared diamond bright. The illusions shattered. Leora's voice merged with her friends, and with every unseen soul in Aeloria clinging to hope. The magic that was meant to divide and dominate instead became a web of glowing threads binding all together. Connection, trust, and courage radiated through the Aether, and Angren's attacks faltered. He screamed in rage, torn between fear and awe as the magic bent away from his grasp. For the first time, he seemed small, trapped by his own hunger for power. "It's slipping, you dare." Liora reached for him, not with force, but with compassion. "Let go. There is still time to be part of this world if you choose." Angren hesitated, agony flickering across his face. But the past had too tight a grip. He turned away, cursing, and vanished into the storm he'd conjured. The crossroads mended, wounds closing, reality settling with a breathless hush. Olin wept, Fen laughed hoarsely, and Tyrion simply stared at his own steady hands. Around them, the guardians shimmered, smiles sad and proud. "You have restored balance, not by power, but by unity and understanding," the Wind Guardian intoned. Liora sagged, exhausted but transformed. Her gift was no longer untamed, but a living part of her. The Aetherstone rested warm against her heart. "We did this together," she said softly, as dawn broke over the new world. As the group walked from the crossroads, Aeloria blossomed in vibrant light. The threads of magic wove tighter than before, stronger for the trials faced and for the friendships forged. And somewhere, amid new beginnings, the faintest whisper of the Aether promised that unity, not power, would always be the realm's greatest strength.